Hello, my name is Grace Miller, and the text I chose to translate is La littérature pour elle s'affaire aquarium, which is a monograph review written by Nathan Majetti, a scholar at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland. This title translates to Can Literature Be an Aquarium? And is a review of Clea Lau's monograph Machine Aquarium, Claude Monet à la peinture submergée, or Machine Aquarium, Claude Monet and Submerged Painting. I wanted to translate this review because I was thinking of picking up Nau's monograph. I study woven erasure poetry, where words are stitched over messily, simultaneously concealed by thread, and legible if lingered upon, and hyper-long exposure photography, where the lens, though technically capturing everything it sees over the course of months or years, only legibly writes what is repeated on its film. These two examples share a lineage with Clea Nau's concept of aquarium literature in its temporal and material fluidity. In her monograph, Nau argues that the aquarium, as both a visual device and an immersive environment, deeply influenced Claude Monet's Water Lily series and can serve as a model for understanding similar aesthetic effects in literature. Ultimately, she proposes that literature itself can act as a mode of vision, negotiating between seeing and reading, form and flux, to evoke modern experiences of perception, memory, and loss. Some specialized vocabulary terms and/or jargon that would be of interest to the reader are displayed here. Firstly, nymphias means water lilies, so that's Monet's famous water lily series, rather than the false cognate of nymph. Exposition here in the art historical context means exhibition, so an exhibition of art rather than the cognate exposure, though they share some theoretical heritage. Also, architectonics is a Kantian word used figuratively here to mean aspects of a foundational or fundamental structure of a moral system, society, or culture. Sociolage, commonly called sociolure in English-speaking countries, it is a specific type of metal carving using what is called a chasing technique. It decorates without removing metal by compressing the structure of the material, so it's more akin to a technique like embossing. And then we have Bergsonian here, and specifically Bergsonian is in lowercase in the French, which is referring to Henry Louis Bergson, and specifically here, his foundational theory of duration. He argued that duration is unextended yet heterogeneous, and its parts cannot be juxtaposed as a succession of distinct parts, with one causing the other. Time to him is not linear and not sequential. Next, we have here some phrases I'm still working on translating. The underlined parts are the main pain points for me, but I've included the rest of the sentence or phrase just for context. The first sentence I have translated currently as literary production guards drawing, therefore the fascination about the visual and experimental paradigm which constitutes the aquarium and its transformations. This is missing, firstly, a verb after the donc, which clearly signals it needs much more work for me. I've also included some of my thoughts and partial translations to work through here if you want to pause and read those. Mostly, though, the issue I'm having is with the donc. I have it translated as therefore as, which doesn't really fit well with the sentence, so I need to look at some more poetic meanings of what that could be. The second phrase I've included, I currently have translated as to mount there that which immediately disturbs, cube assembly, the proposed sequencing. Again, if you want to pause to read some of my thoughts and partial translations to work through here, the problem I'm really having is with the démonte. So de is die as in dice, or cube, or thimbleful, or diced. It's like a diced vegetable. And then monte could either be monte as in a noun, which would be a mounting technique, or a breeding. And then it could also be a conjugation of monter, which is to ascend, to climb, to reach, or to assemble. So I need to figure out if this is a specific mounting style in the art world, in the exhibition space, or if it's a poetic way to describe the way that these things are mounted. Now we have a partial text presentation highlighting some of the concepts we've been working on through this semester. Interestingly, in the first few words of the review, l'on pourrait a priori douter, we see two class concepts. And then one a little further down in Disipa, we see another. I've bolded both of those. L'on pourrait is not only an example of the ambiguous use of the subject pronoun on, which can mean we, one, or someone, depending on the context. It also makes use of the modal verb construction pouvoir plus an infinitive, with pouvoir plus douter here. This structure conveys a sense of possibility or desire. I translate this as one may at first doubt. Dissipa, which I have translated as dispelled, is an example of le passé simple, or the literary or historic past. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation, and I wish you well in translating your own work.